Hi, and welcome to the Kindred Way. Today we're going to be making cornbread dressing for Thanksgiving, and we're going to make a double batch for a big family or a big crowd. So stay tuned because we're making that right now. The first thing we're going to do is make the cornbread for our cornbread dressing, and I'm doubling the recipe because I'm going to fill 2 9x13 glass casserole dishes full of our cornbread. We're going to have 2. Then we're going to make the dressing once this is finished. So let's start with the cornbread. First thing that we need, we're going to put our dry ingredients, is 2 cups of cornmeal, 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to take my whisk and make sure that this is all mixed together. If you prefer to sift it, you can, but it's a lot, and my sifter is not big enough for all that. But I want to make sure that it's all mixed together. Okay, so for our wet ingredients, we're going to use 2 cups of milk, a half a cup of vegetable oil, and you can substitute this with butter if you'd like, and 4 large eggs. So we're going to put this in here. Move all this out of the way. And I'm just going to whisk this and make sure that it's all blended. Make sure those eggs get broken up and whipped. On my the recipe, I'm going to make just a cornbread recipe with half this much. So if you just want cornbread, you can have that. And then I'm going to also post this double batch, and it's going to be part of the cornbread dressing recipe. And you can always find these at thekindredway.com. And while you're there, you can subscribe to our newsletter. We have a lot of things that we give out. All right, so now we're going to take this, and I'm going to make a well in the middle here and pour this and stir. All right, we'll keep stirring that up good. All right, and I'm just whisking it. Get all that out of the whisk. Now the difference between stuffing and dressing, and I may be wrong, but stuffing is the recipe for anything that you're actually going to stuff into your turkey. We're not going to stuff this into the turkey. So this is just dressing. All right. All right, we have this stirred together. So what I'm going to do is divide this between both of these pans. Now, if you're not ready to double that, you can make a single batch twice so that you make sure you have everything. But I'm going to go ahead and pour this in. Try and get half and half. Okay. I'm gonna move this over here. And I did spray these pans before I started, and my oven is at 400 degrees. Try to get all this. Like I said, sometimes it's easier just to do a single batch and put it in one pan and then do another batch because this doesn't take very long to make. Whoops. All right. I don't feel like I got it all. So you might want to use a scraper instead. Okay. Here we go. All right. I'm going to put this aside. And then we're just going to move this around to where it covers the whole dish. And I'm going to wipe up the mess that I made on the side of this casserole dish. Okay. You know me, if I don't make a mess, then someone else is cooking. Okay. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna put these in the oven probably about 25 to 30 minutes until they're golden brown. And then we'll check with the toothpick to make sure that it comes out clean, and then we know that they're done. So I'm gonna put these in. Ooh. All right, I'll put my timer on 20 minutes so that I can come and check it to see if I need to leave it in there a little longer. Went too far. All right, so we'll be back in about 25 minutes to see if these are finished, and if so, we'll continue to make our cornbread dressing. So we'll see you then. Welcome back. We have cooked our cornbread. You'll see that I put this in a 9 by 13 pan, and it's very thin. If I were making this for a meal, I wouldn't have put it in this. I would have put it in an 8-inch or 9-inch cake pan so that it would be a little thicker for your family to enjoy. But we're going to cube this up, as we already have, and we're going to put it in our bowl here. It's already cooled. We let it cool completely, and I've already used a knife to cut it into small cubes. And I can tell you right now, I'm probably gonna make a mess. So get all this in here. And this was sprayed before, so that's why it's coming out so easy. Okay, I probably have a bowl that's too small because, again, this is Thanksgiving dressing, cornbread dressing for big family. All right, so I'm going to put this over here. Yeah, I'm going to need a bigger bowl. So I'm going to take this and put it into a bigger bowl. And that's all of our cornbread. I've also toasted 12 slices of bread and cut them into squares, little cubes. So we're going to put this in here as well. Okay, let me move this aside so you can see. I'll bring it back in a minute. What we're going to do now is we're going to melt our butter and we're going to saute our vegetables. So I've put 1 stick of butter in. Some people don't use that much, but I do. And I have 1 cup of chopped bell pepper, 2 cups of onion that are chopped, and these are actually freeze-dried, and 2 cups of celery. And I'm going to put all of that in here and let this freeze-dried come back to what it was before. We're just going to let this saute for a minute. It smells so good in here. Just make sure that the butter touches all of this, because yours will be nice and fresh, and mine were, well, my bell bell peppers weren't freeze-dried, but my onions and my celery were. So I want to make sure that they get moist to reconstitute themselves. All right, so I'm going to let that sit there for just a minute. I'm going to bring back my bread. In my other pan because I'll move these in a minute. All right. I'm really cooking here. Smells so good. I've already said that, but boy, I wish we had smell-o-vision. Okay, and we're gonna pour in 2 teaspoons of poultry seasoning. I'm just gonna shake that on there. And then I'm going to add some salt and pepper. I'll just take this and you just season it however much you want it seasoned. You can also, I use butter, but you can use bacon grease to saute this if you want a little different flavor. We're going to take our vegetables and we're just going to pour it over our bread. Our cornbread and our toasted bread. I'm going to stir this just a little bit. My first batch of cornbread, I had really much bigger cubes. And in my second batch, I made sure that they were smaller. All right, so we have 8 eggs. I'm going to pour this over and stir. Get it all in there. Just do the best that you can. Okay. All right, so we're still going to, so as you can tell, this is not dressing. It smells like dressing, but the breads are still really big, but that's okay for right now. We're going to take 8 cups of chicken broth and we're going to pour it over. And we're going to do 1 cup at a time so that we can make sure that we're getting everything coated and wet. So we want everything coated, we want it all mixed together, but we don't want this to turn into mush. Okay, so that's 4 cups. So I'm going to do 1 cup at a time, or at least try to, and pour this in. A little more. Okay, and I'm going to stir that. Is it in the way I'm here? Bring those vegetables back up. All right, I'm going to do another cup. And we're just folding this all in. And these big cubes in the bread will start to break down even more, which again is what we want, but we don't want mush. All right, and pour another one in. Keep stirring. This is going to make 2 big 9x13 pans of cornbread dressing. We're going to cook this, and then when we're finished, since it's not Thanksgiving right now, we're going to freeze this. So what I'll do is I will cover this with aluminum foil twice because I don't want freezer burn in there.
Great friend. great prep.
Yeah. Yeah, making this ahead is a time saver. I will say, if you need your glass casserole dishes and you don't want them in the freezer until Thanksgiving, then you can buy the little metal pans that you see at the store for turkey. They come in all different sizes, and that can stay in the freezer as well. So we've done 4 cups, but we're going to use 8. So it'll be even better. And again, if you want, you can make your cubes any size that you want. Since mine are bigger, it's really not going to turn to mush. If you had little bitty ones, depending on how much you stirred, you may like that texture. All right, we're coming along here. You can find this recipe on the kindredway.com. And while you're on YouTube watching this, if you could subscribe, that would be awesome. And hit the like button so you get notifications. Well, no, that was the bell, right? So subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and like it. All right.
Looks really uniform.
Looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, and again, if you see any big chunks, I mean, they are going to cook down a little bit, but as you see, this is not mush. It's still got quite a bit of heaviness to it. Is that the right word? Mm-hmm. We're going to take this and we're going to put it into our 2 pans. So let me bring one over here. And I'll go ahead and bring this over here. And I did not clean them after I finished with the cornbread, but I did respray them. So that's up to you. So we're going to put this in here. I'm going to bring the other one over because, see if I can do this where they're a little bit more equal. All right. Spread this out a little bit. Put some more in here. And you just spread it around. Try to get it as even as possible. You don't want one side to be thick and one side to be thinner, and you end up burning one end of it. So we're going to try to make this as even as possible. And this is so easy. If you have someone that likes to cook with you, this can be something they really can help you with. There's a lot of moving parts to this. And that's how you learn. Let me spread this out. All right. I think there's a little more in here, but that's okay. All right, so we're gonna put this in the oven at 350 degrees for about an hour and a half. It's gonna cook all the way through, but it's gonna end up being really great. So I should have turned on my oven before. So anyway, we're gonna put these in the oven when it's ready, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like. And you have 2 big pans for your family or a crowd or whoever you are hosting for Thanksgiving. And you're gonna be prepared. You just pull them out, and we'll talk about that later. Anyway, we'll be back. Hi, we are back. And we have finished baking our cornbread dressing, but I wanted to tell you a few things. And I didn't tell you before, but when you go to bake these, put aluminum foil on them. Bake them for an hour and a half, remove the aluminum foil, and let it bake for another 10 to 15 minutes. And that's what we've done here. I also want to tell you about, my brother's excited about this one. The great thing is, if you have any left over, you can take your turkey, shred it, or put it into bits, add it,
Mix it,
heat it up, and put gravy on top. It is a great casserole in itself. That's a great thing to do for leftovers. Nothing goes to waste, okay?
Yay!
Are you happy?
I'm happy.
He's happy. Okay, so we're going to cover these again, and once they cool down, we'll freeze them. When Thanksgiving comes, I will take these out the day before in the morning and put them in the refrigerator to thaw, and then Thanksgiving morning or whatever, I will put them back in there, basically just to heat them up. So this is a great make-ahead meal. Lots of things you can do with it.
Green bean casserole is coming up.
I'm not saying that in case it don't happen.
Green bean casserole is coming up.
So this is the cornbread stuffing for a big family. And we know you're going to have your family with you at Thanksgiving. We'll be making some more Thanksgiving meals. If you've never cooked Thanksgiving before, well, tune in and you'll learn some dishes that you can take to your family, or, you know, invite them to your house and you have the Thanksgiving. But we thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Kindred Way.